Say yes every day to the world and to your heart. Open up your eyes and let your spirit start. Say yes to the dreams you hold inside. Let your soul be.
Thank you for joining us today for another episode of Wednesday Wisdom. Today, I am joined by the incredible Lori Distelcamp. She is a mortgage consultant at Informed Mortgage. Lori, thank you so much for joining us today. And on Wednesday Wisdom, what we look to do is go into the past, how that past is applied to the present, and then, of course, what piece of advice you would like to give for everyone's successful future. So to kick us off, let's share with us, what is one of the best pieces of advice that you have ever received? And by all means, feel free to give that person a shout out.
Okay, so I remember when I started in the mortgage business, going all the way back to 2005. I started as a junior to my Uncle Ed, who has been in the business over 40 years. And what he kept saying to me was, stay in front of them. You got to stay in front of them. And, what he meant was, in the beginning, all of my leads were going to come from agents. I didn't have a book of business. So quite simply, staying in front of them back then meant getting in the car, driving to the offices, knocking on the doors, and then staying in touch in whatever form that was going to be. So I joined networking groups. I volunteered. I did everything I could to stay in front of the realtors. And that really served me very well, because it didn't matter if it was a down year or a down market. They remembered me and they would call me. So, and that kind of flowed over to, when I started working under my current boss. He said the same thing, but in a different form. And what he said was, the way to stay relevant and make money in this business is to pick up the phone. Same thing, just in a different form. And now, of course, we don't really knock on doors at realtor agencies, but we still want to stay in front of them. And now I have a book of business to stay in front of by calling them. So that wisdom really served me well throughout my career, and I still live by it.
Number one, love that advice. And that advice is timeless. It doesn't matter if it's 2005, 2025, or 2045. It doesn't make a difference. And, this is a fascinating discussion because, just last week, I was having a conversation with a mortgage veteran, and they were saying that they're curious if people are less connected now that we do a lot of things digitally versus back years ago when it was knocking on the door and seeing them in person, or more of on the phone versus a text message or an email or a social post. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. What are your thoughts on that, of the way we previously did it?
I think you have to meet people where they want to be met. So there are some people who are on Facebook all day long or on social media, and they love to see posts on social media, and that's how they stay connected. But there's plenty of other people that really don't care for social media. They'd rather meet for a cup of coffee, or they just want you to call them. So you kind of get a feel for not only what your audience wants, but what are you comfortable with? If you're the kind of person who's just not comfortable in front of the camera or not comfortable on social media, that doesn't mean you're not going to get business. You can pick up the phone. You can join groups, help the agents or whoever. It can be for any business really. But so I think it's just a matter of reaching out in whatever form is comfortable for you and your audience. It doesn't have to be one or the other. It could be a mix.
Agree. And what you just said was meet them where they're at, meaning we all know that our best clients or referral partners are people that resonate with us, right? So kind of like meets like. So be true to yourself, right? Be true to where you're comfortable, where you really shine, because when you're comfortable, you will shine brightly and you will attract other people that are similar to you, right? Kind of
Yes.
even us, right? When you and I first met, yes, we did work for the same company at the time, but it really wasn't that connection. It was once we met each other and we spent time together, we realized we have a lot of things in common and we kind of think the same in so many instances that we said, wait a minute, you're resonating with me. We have a lot of common threads. So I could easily see us being in business together because of that commonality. So
Right.
to your point, whatever that is, wherever you shine, wherever you're comfortable, do more of that. Be your authentic self. And that authentic self will resonate with other people that feel the same thing. So I
That's
love that
exactly
advice.
correct. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. So, of course, like you said, how you're applying that today is, you've kind of moved it around a little bit. You've kind of changed it into a 2024 version, but you're pretty much following that same model, right?
Yeah. And consistency is very important. You might not feel comfortable picking up the phone and calling a realtor that you just didn't bother to call for years. Yeah, it may work, but I mean, consistency is important. When you get busy, you can't just disappear. You still need to keep a connection. It might not, again, be the same connection, but you do want to keep some kind of a connection, even when you're busy. Yeah,
Very, very
I
good
agree
point.
strongly with that. So.
Yeah, it's kind of both things, right? Like I've seen people, yes, when they get busy, they certainly kind of sometimes fall off. But also when business is down, I also notice that sometimes it gets in people's heads and they're like, oh, I feel awkward reaching out because they're probably struggling too, and I'm not really feeling my best self, so I don't know if I want to reach out. So what's your piece of advice for either way, right? When you're busy or when maybe you feel a little awkward because maybe you haven't reached out?
Yeah, so on the not busy side, sometimes it's just okay to call and say, hi, how are you doing? And also to be a little bit of a cheerleader if the person is not doing well, as is the case for a lot of people. It's okay just to call and keep it light. And maybe I'm not going to specifically say, hey, do you have any business for me? That's not my style. But just, hey, how are you? What's going on? I think that that's great. And that definitely helps. If there's certain, charities or functions, industry functions where you can get in front of people, or I teach CE courses, it's a way to get in front of people without, asking for or demanding business, but you will get business just by virtue of giving something of value, whether it's your friendship or teaching a course or volunteering. So, and actually you can do that anytime, whether you're busy or not. You just have to make sure that you carve the time into your schedule to do it.
100%. And from my perspective, I will tell you, for everyone out there, have a podcast, because every single person can come up with some kind of simple concept. And it is a great way of staying in touch with your network, to where you can invite them to come on. You can make it so you're doing something together. And a lot of times when you have a podcast, the best conversation happens before or after, not even always during. So put my piece of advice is, have that. And again, switch it up. For a little bit of time, have one topic, then change the format, have another topic, have people on the different topics, because everyone wants to share their voice and feel special, and have you market them, spotlight them. You will look like that cheerleader and that supporter, which you are, while having an opportunity to bond with them and learn some of their inner workings.
I love that idea. And also, I love the idea of, no matter how long you've been in the business, you can always pick up different new advice from people and tailor it to your own style. Sometimes you'll get advice and maybe you think to yourself, well, I can't do it the way that person does it, but you can kind of tailor it to your own style. And it doesn't matter how many years I'm in the business or in business in general, I'm always open to listening and watching and seeing what is successful that other people are doing.
100%.
Yeah.
We can learn so much from others. And to your point, to go further on that, Lori, when I started doing this podcast, right, every week I jump on a call and I listen to people that I know in the industry. Some I know longer than others, but no matter what advice they give, it hits me. Like now, so it's interesting how, depending on where you are, depending on when it is, certain things hit you harder than others, but all of the advice hits you. It kind of resonates with you. And to your point, you can apply it to what is happening in your life, whether it's personal or business at that moment. It may not be the first time you've heard it. Most of the time, it's not revolutionary.
Right, but you're ready to hear it.
You're ready. You're open. You're accepting. You're taking it in.
Or matured to a point where now you can take it in. I know as I get older, I'm able to take in and self-reflect better than I could when I was younger. And I definitely think it's just continuing to listen and learn and grow. And one other piece of advice that actually you gave me that I think about a lot is you told me, don't ever put yourself down, because, I definitely have a way of, self-depreciating humor, for one, as kind of a coping mechanism. And
I was going to say that's coping.
Yeah, I'm hard on myself. So if I try something and I'll think over and over about, oh, I should have said this instead, or what if I did it that way, it would have been better. But really, honestly, instead of focusing on the negative things, I should be focusing on the positive things and not drawing attention to the negative things. So I was actually apologizing for the negative things instead of like, okay, let me get past that. I'm just going to focus on all the positive things instead of the negative things. Yeah,
that is exactly right. And you've come so far, Lori, so far, and you're just continuing to grow in that aspect. And yes, that is something I want everyone out there to do. We all know it's easy. It's funny. I did an interview on the podcast last week with someone, and he brought up the fact of he really tries to lift people up. And he said that he can tell how comfortable or uncomfortable people are with receiving a compliment. And he said it's so interesting to him that when he says, I love your blouse. I love, that's a beautiful dress, whatever. And the minute the person says, and I even made a joke because this happened to me at a networking event last week, where I told the woman I loved her dress. And she said to me, oh, I actually got this at Walmart. It was only whatever amount of dollars.
It was on sale.
And I was like, no. Thank you.
That is something I do.
That's all you need to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. That's it. Yep. Yep. Thank you. Yes.
That's it. That's all there is. That we don't need to hear how much it cost, or that it was on sale, or that was bought at Walmart. The dress was beautiful. It doesn't matter to me how much it cost or where she bought it. But we struggle with that. We really all struggle with the thank you. And that's all it is. All right, Lori. Great advice. And now we're up to the point that we want to hear your piece of advice. What is something that you would like to share with the entire audience?
So I think I kind of touched upon it when I said that you should look to successful people, or, people that you admire, and, listen and try to put that advice into your business and in your life. And you can't copy people exactly. because everybody's different, but to absorb it in and tweak it so that it works for you. You know, I watch my boss and the things he does and says, and I admire him so much, but sometimes I'll say, oh, I could never say that, but I can tweak it and say, I could say it like this. It's the same thing, but the delivery is a little different, just because each person's comfort level is a little different.
That is great advice. And again, we all are learning every single day. So what I get out of that is it's all in who we surround ourselves with and who we are watching and listening to and observing, right? It's all of those things, because you know that old saying of the 5 people, you are the sum of the 5 people that you surround yourself with. I mean, it's very true. If we hang around with a bunch of people that are constantly negative and constantly saying everything is so hard, and so, you know, you start to believe that. And vice versa, when you watch people go, okay, we understand we're in this cycle, but this is what we can control. This is what we can do. These are the actions we can take. You go, okay, we've got this. You know, we can do this. We're not putting our head in the sand, but we are saying together, we can learn, we can grow, we can try new things, we can collaborate, and we can get past whatever that struggle is, personally or professionally.
And it's true in your personal life too, because I've noticed that, you know, the older I get, I'm gravitating toward friends that are also serious about their profession, but are also very family oriented. And it makes me feel good to be around people that are like-minded and that can push me to be a better person. So, you know, personal life, it's very important as well.
100%.
Sure you know. Yes.
Absolutely. All right. Well, Lori, thank you so much for sharing
this was fun.
wisdom. It's always fun when we get together.
It's always fun.
Thank you for joining us, and we wish you all the best always.
Thank you.